The label evangelical has been stretched further and further and further to the left, while you've had some evangelicals who have tried to remain anchored on the right.
So, Dr. Bauder, looking at today, what are the differences between fundamentalism and evangelicalism today? In other words, where has evangelicalism gone?
The split between maybe I should say this to begin with. All fundamentalists are evangelicals, but most evangelicals do not consider themselves to be fundamentalists. And the split came really beginning during the early 1940s, when many educational and church leaders who believed the fundamentals, they were committed to the fundamentals, became embarrassed by the hard stand that fundamentalists had taken in saying that we will not extend Christian fellowship to people who deny the gospel. And the evangelical position became increasingly to say, no, we think that there is at least a sphere within which we can work together with these gospel deniers as if they were real, genuine brothers in Christ. And this trend begins probably with the establishment of the National Association of Evangelicals in 1942, and it sort of comes to a climax with Billy Graham's New York City crusade in 1957. The build-up to the crusade was in 1956, and Graham took the step of deliberately saying, I want theological liberals on my platform. I'm going to have them pray. I'm going to point to them as Christian leaders. I'm even going to send converts back into their churches. And that was really the breaking point at which evangelicalism as a movement and fundamentalism as a movement went in different directions.
It's so important. You've articulated how separation factors in to the distinction between the two, the separatist view that the biblical fundamentalists hold, and how that's been a dividing line, and an important dividing line between these two movements. Dr. Bauder, moving this into the current day, with evangelical versus fundamental camps out there, what are some trends in broader evangelicalism that you see as being still concerning, that have their root in those conflicts and divisions in the 1940s?
The original group that really broke with fundamentalism gave themselves the labels neo-evangelical. The neo-evangelicals, their captain was Harold John Ockenga. They included people like Carl F.H. Henry, Harold Lindsell. They focused around Fuller Theological Seminary. Their initial goal was to build a bridge between the evangelical world and the liberal theological world. And they believed that if they could build this bridge, they would be able to encourage many liberals to cross over to the evangelical side. So they built the bridge. And in one or two cases, Etta Linneman, one or two others, there were a few liberals who actually crossed over in a more conservative direction, but overwhelmingly, the crossing over was in the other direction. And so today, you see people positioned all the way along that bridge, clear over onto what loosely I'm going to call the liberal side, who are still calling themselves evangelical. So the label evangelical has been stretched further and further and further to the left, while you've had some evangelicals who have tried to remain anchored on the right. And of course, fundamentalism is still, in one sense, a part of evangelicalism. So if you reckon on fundamentalism as part of the larger evangelical world, you've still got fundamentalism hanging on the right and saying, no, you can't cross that bridge. You can't go over that bridge in that direction.